Good evening, everybody. This is I'm Mayor Cornell Harvey, and welcome to our virtual meeting, City Council meeting. I'd like to call to order of the City Council meeting dated Wednesday, July the 1st. We are streaming live, excuse me. I'd like to ask Commissioner, our Mayor Pro Tem, Martin, to give us a small introduction, and we will I will
Okay. If you will, please pray with me. Lord, thank you for this day and each day that you give us. We pray for your protection, especially for those in harm's way that serve not only our city, but also our country. We ask that you would help us to make sound decisions this evening in regards to our citizens and our city, for the betterment of all that live in Brunswick. And we ask for protection against COVID-19 and just pray that those that are struggling financially, that we as a community can lend a hand and help them regain the stature that they need in order to provide for their families. We pray all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I will recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will get on with our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, as we look at our agenda we have this evening, I think there may be an amendment to rearrange our schedule a bit.
Yes, Mayor, if I could, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the order of the agenda and those items that fall under appointments, item number 5, 1, 2, and 3, that they be put as the first agenda item in front of public hearings.
Second.
Okay, I've been probably motion and second for us to rearrange our order of on our agenda, making item number 5 to go first. So any further questions, comments? Hearing all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed have the same right. It appears the ayes have it. Okay, we will start off with item number 5 as we start. Before I start too as well, I would like to read your directive for our public hearings. If you ever have any questions or a statement pertaining to the information presented during tonight's July 1st, 2020 public hearings and would like to address the commission, please do so by using the chat feature in the Zoom. The chat button is located at the bottom of your screen with the other meeting controls. Questions and statements submitted via chat will be directed directly to the commission. So I also read that again when we get ready to do our public hearings. I want to, before I start too as well, I want to read a statement. And it goes, we want to thank those workers in our community who are performing essential duties and going the extra mile to keep our community and visitors safe. These include, but are not limited to, healthcare professionals and first responders working on the front line, retail, grocery, and food service workers providing substance and supplies for residents and visitors, custodians and maintenance staff who are working hard to keep the public and community areas safe and services operating, our manufacturers who are keeping our city and county moving forward by producing goods for our economic recovery. We know that working amidst a global pandemic is difficult and at times very upsetting, but we want to encourage you to remain diligent and focus on the safety and well-being of yourself, your family, colleagues, and the greater community. Together, by following the CDC's recommendations on hand washing, social distancing, and wearing safety equipment, including masks, we can overcome this. When you are traveling, working, or conducting out-of-home activities, please consider other safety as you do. More than ever, we need to consider and follow safety recommendations to fight the spread of the COVID-19. Once again, thank you to everyone who is helping our community during this trying time. Please remain diligent and please remain safe. Now, as we start our meeting, we will start out with item number 5, appointments, board and commission appointments. The first one is item number 1, Coastal Regional Commission Council. This is the mayor's appointment, and I have talked with Mr. Shaw McVeigh. His seat is expiring. He has contacted me and wants to be reappointed. I haven't had anyone else who have come forward to want to be appointed to this board. However, I would love to reappoint Mr. Shaw McVeigh to another term for this committee.
I'll make a motion that we approve the mayor's appointment of Shaw McVeigh to the Coastal Regional Commission Council.
Second, if you need it.
Probably motion second for the reappointment of Shaw McVeigh to the Coastal Regional Commission. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same right? It appears the ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Item number 2, tree board, 1 appointment. This is to fill the term expiring Ms. Caroline Wright. There's one individual who aspires for consideration for appointment, Ms. Lisa Jordan. She has submitted her resume to us. And what's your will and pleasure, Commissioners?
I'll make a motion that we approve appointment of Lisa Jordan to the tree board.
Second.
Probably motion second for the approval of Ms. Lisa Jordan to the tree board, replacing Caroline Wright. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right? All right, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3, Brunswick Glen Economic Development Authority, 3 appointments. This is a joint appointment with Glenn County. There are 3 names that their terms are expiring: C. Jones Hooks, William L. Austin Jr., and Jack Kilgore.
I'll make a motion that we approve those 3 for being submitted for consideration as appointment to the Brunswick Glen Economic Development Authority.
Second.
All right, then probably motion second for the reappointment of the 3 names: C. Jones Hook, William L. Austin, and Jack C. Kilgore for reappointment to the Brunswick Glen Economic Development Authority. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign. It appears the ayes have it. Okay, they are appointed. Ms. Nailman, please get with them, all appointees, and let them know their new roles that they're being appointed, reappointed, and also appointed to those boards.
Will do.
All right. Okay, item number 1, public hearing. As I stated before, in our public hearing, if you have a question or a statement pertaining to the information presented during tonight's July 1st, 2020 public hearing and would like to address the commission, please do so by using the chat feature in the Zoom. The chat button is located at the bottom of your screen with the other meeting controls. Questions and statements submitted via chat will be directed to the commission. Okay, item number 1, beverage here, alcohol beverage license. Consider approval of one new alcohol beverage license, Country Boy Cooking 912 LLC. The owner is Travis Riddle at 3300 Norwich Street. Request to sell beer, wine, and consumption on premises. Sergeant Lynn Smock is presenting. Sir?
He's muted.
Okay, maybe we can get him unmuted. He was ready in the beginning.
There he goes.
There he is, yes.
Can you hear me?
We can now, yes, sir.
Okay, sorry for the problem there.
No problem.
We received an application for an alcohol license from Travis Riddle in reference to a club, Country Boy Cooking. Location is at 3300 Norwich Street. The license is for the consumption on premises of beer and wine. A background investigation was conducted on the owner and operations manager, Mr. Riddle. Nothing negative was identified that would preclude him from obtaining a license. And we present that to you tonight for your consideration.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, would you shed some more light on this? Because I know I know there is our ordinance says something about 600 feet from a church, a school, and so forth. Can you give us some more information about this?
Yes, our ordinance, it mirrors the state law on almost all distance requirements, but we also have an additional distance, I would say, consideration. If you look at our ordinance, section 3-7, G contains all of our distance requirements. Item number 6 under that, or 7, I apologize, says no new license shall issue or new location be approved for any, excuse me, for retail sale of alcohol beverage for consumption on premise without consideration by the City Commission of the proximity of the location proposed for the establishment to any nearby school, college, or church or residences. If any school, college, church, or residence is located within 600 feet of the main entrance to the proposed licensed premise, then any motion to approve the location must be accompanied by a statement substantially to the effect that such proximity has been considered and it is the Commission's finding that the proximity does not cause the establishment of the licensed premise as proposed to be harmful to the welfare of the community or otherwise unsuitable for the location. And I know that's a lot of verbiage that I just put out there, but it essentially says that if a license is applied for on-premise consumption of alcohol, similar to the business in question tonight, that the City Commission should be afforded the right to look of what schools, residents, or churches are within 600 feet of that location. It isn't an outright prohibition to issue a license to that type of business, but the City Commission must take this into consideration when making their decision.
All right. Also, Deputy Smock, I noticed in your when you submitted your report, it says that that there was no objection from the church, and I seem to have gotten a number of objections from the church. Can you identify what's going on with that?
I received 2 objections. They did not identify themselves as church members, but as members in the recent or the area of the business location.
Was any further information gathered from the similar business in Atlanta?
I didn't look into that situation. We didn't find anything that would indicate that Mr. Riddle had a negative history from them.
And what are the hours of operation? Because I didn't see that stated anywhere in here as to.
Well, we'll let
I'm
him
not,
speak in a minute too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not aware of what his hours are. Mr. Riddle may have a better idea to address that.
Any more questions for Deputy Smart? For Sergeant Smart, commissioners? Okay, Mr. Riddle, would you like to say something?
Yes, sir. How everybody doing? I basically want to introduce myself to everybody because I see a lot of people saying opposed at the bottom that never even got a chance to come meet me. But I am a resident of Glenn County. I came back because of the Ahmaud Arbery situation, led quite a few peaceful protesters that nationwide exposure, that which made Brunswick the state point what's going on in the world today. Also, since I've been here, I'm one of the. I also signed a contract which I'll be a proud sponsor of Glenn Academy and Brunswick High School, as well as a Little League football team. So we're bringing my business to Brunswick, Georgia. I'm bringing 20 to 25 jobs in the next several months. And if you pass by the location that I'm in, you'll see already I done made an asset to the community by the way the property value has been brought up from what we did to the area. I did have the pleasure to meet with Mr. Bobby Hall before he passed away and let him know the vision that I had. He was not completely against it. He wanted to speak more with me about it. But before I got back, he had passed away. So I continued to speak with the Hall family as well. I also found out by the intern pastor, Pastor Lewis and Miss First Lady Lewis, and spoke with them as well, which I was going to have a meeting with them. They did not say they wouldn't get against it, or they didn't say they were with it. They wanted to meet with me and see what my vision was. And setting that meeting up for Friday, I was instructed by them that they was unable to talk to me because of a lawyer advised them not to talk to me because of the situation that's going on with the church. So we both respected that. So I guess my biggest thing is so many people oppose what I'm doing, but they're not understanding what I actually do for my community and what I have done for my community, and also the amount of jobs that I'm bringing to my community. Right now, if I'm bringing 25 to 30 jobs to Brunswick, Georgia, that's 25 to 30 people that's not selling dope. That's 25 to 30 people that's not breaking into jobs. But that's 25 to 30 people that got a positive outlook on life that I'm providing that. So are we doing this for the community? I wish people take in consideration the community versus their own personal feelings, because I have heard nothing negative from the Hall family nor the Lewis family about the decision that I'm doing over here, the business venture I'm bringing here. And I just want to bring this attention to the board with no disrespect to anybody, but both parties have been instructed not to speak on behalf of the church at this moment. It seems the only thing that's guaranteed to be here now is me, because whoever is the future pastor of the church is going to be my neighbor, and I want a good relationship with that church. But as in right now, we don't even know who's going to be in charge of that church. And from personal experience with both of them, we have no negative relationship. It's just a lot of people that never even reached out. The commission, I'm out here 5 days a week working on the building. Not one, these people that's opposing me have not came over here and introduced themselves, met me, or questioned what I'm doing. They simply opposing my decision for personal reasons. But I just want to commission the city and everybody in Brunswick who knows me and understand what I do is to the city. I'm bringing to the city and not taking away from it. I got a copy of the city ordinance as well as the state ordinance that I would like to forward to the board. There's no law or ordinance preventing me from what I'm doing here.
Mr. Riddle.
Mr. Riddle, you are correct in some of the things you're saying. But I tell you, I don't think people are against you for bringing industry to our city. I think they're just opposed to the selling alcohol at that spot. I think that's what they're really opposed. They're not having anything against you per se. It's just the fact that they're trying to, maybe they don't want that in their neighborhood or near their church. And that's something that the city council will have to deal with. We will have to make that decision.
Mayor.
Mayor Harvey, I talked with the Hall family as well as the intern Pastor Lewis, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis, and I assured them I can understand I can understand the conflict of having a church across the street and alcohol sign across the street. So like I told them, I don't need that promotion. I don't need no signs or visible things about alcohol outside my building. I'm a church man myself. My pastor is Angelique Simmons, a Turtle Worship in Atlanta, and that's my church. So I can understand the conflict of it. So there's no advertisement that I need outside of these four walls to, because I definitely don't want to disrespect the church or nobody on the church board, but I also want to be able to provide what I'm providing to the city, and that's jobs and opportunity. And in order for me to pay these people payroll, I need every avenue I could to be able to make the money to provide an honest living to a lot of people.
Can we get a better,
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Go ahead,
Mayor, can we get a better description of the operation of the business as well as the operation hours as was requested?
Yes, ma'am. Basically, I'm gonna be doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I also want to do like a brunch on Saturday and Sunday. Just something nice for the city. If you see my location, we had a patio out front. I'm actually at a location now. If you want me to turn the camera around, I can show you. It's a full restaurant, just like Applebee's, Chili's, Longhorn, Olive Garden, and be to specify my vision more. I could have went somewhere else, but I chose to come here. I feel like this is the area that needed something positive in it. But the operation right now is gonna be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if business get busier, I really don't want to go no farther than that. But as we start now, to be 7 a.m. To 8 p.m. breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So it's more of a base restaurant. It's not a bar or club?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
If it's okay, I'd like to turn the camera around and show you my setup. It's a full restaurant. The only speakers in here will be the speakers in the wall playing elevator music, just like any other restaurant. And that what kind of upsets me with people. Nobody came over to ask me. They just thinking me, thinking bar, club. It's not that. My pastor's in favor of what I'm doing. I talk to a lot of pastors in Brunswick that want to come on board, but I don't want to bring their name out unless they choose to. But it's a full-fledged restaurant. And they're asking Sarah beer, wine, that's it. But if you'd like me to show you the setup, I can show you. There's no dancing room. There's no standing room. Mary, is it okay if I turn the camera around and just show you how to set up so I get a better visual of what I'm doing here?
You know, I would say that this is not standard protocol, and if we were at Old City Hall,
you wouldn't be doing that, no.
Meeting, we would not have this opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
We've all at least driven by. I know I drove by 2 or 3 times just checking out activity, driving through the entire neighborhood. So I don't.
I mean, we could have had pictures, so I don't see how it could be different than presenting pictures of the internal.
I have pictures I'm gonna bring, but since it's a Zoom meeting, I'm zooming with y'all from the location just to be able to show you the pictures I wasn't able to give to y'all because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is Commissioner Williams on board?
I thought I saw him join. There he is.
Yes, I'm on board. They got me kind of, I don't know where I'm going to be muted out and on, so I'm going to try to work this out. I've been trying to get this Wi-Fi to work, but for whatever reason, I had to do the call in, so.
Yes, sir.
But I'm hearing the conversation, and I have had the opportunity to stop by the location, so I'm kind of familiar. Been able to walk in and see some of the things and some of the changes that have been made. There is definitely an upgrade to the building and to the neighborhood as far as the I would say the real estate potential for that particular area.
Okay. Mr. Riddle, we are, I know you said you talked to the pastor, the previous pastor and the new pastor as well. They have some legalities they have to go through right now. Realize that most pastors speak for their church. As of now, with the legality, it seems like each church member is speaking up for themselves. And also, my question is, did you canvass the neighborhood before you, let people know what you was trying to do?
Yes, sir. I spoke with, I reached out to a lot of neighbors. Even the church behind me, they're online now in support of what Mayor, I'm actually asking you and the commissioners to take consideration that what you just said. If the church is at a deadlock on what's going on at that location, that means people opposing me that may not even be at that location once the church open back up. So one thing that's guaranteed to be here is my business. I own my business. I upgraded my business. I got a contract with Glen Academy and Brunswick High for every day next year. So I'm going to be here. Or if there's no pastor place of church, that pastor member may not even be there if that pastor is not there no longer. But they quit to be online posing something that may not even affect them in no kind of way. So I'm asking the commission and the mayor to take that into consideration, because at the end of the day, from me being a Brunswick, all I ever knew in education was the Halls family. And it was a pleasure to meet him right before he passed away. And he himself wasn't against completely what I was doing. He was more about what I was doing. Before I got that meeting with him, he passed away. Just as well with the intern, Pastor Lewis, and the First Lady. They didn't say no. They knew what I was doing. They said they want to meet with me and see the vision. Now that we had a deadlock with the church and we don't know who's finna be at the church, but we do know that Country Boy Cooking is finna be here, bringing 20 to 25 jobs to this community. Contracted through both Glen Academy and Brunswick High, which I'm sponsoring, as well as the Little League football team. So one thing that is guaranteed here to impact this community is me and my business. And I ask the commission and the mayor to take that into consideration.
Well, we're not against your business, Mr. Riddle, at all, and we really we commend you for the things you're doing for our community and doing for the schools as well, and for giving people employment as well. And that, to me, really has no bearing, basically, on our decision to grant the alcohol beverage license, because as you mentioned about Applebee's don't serve alcohol in there as a full-fledged restaurant. So it's just we need to take into consideration how this community is receiving an establishment that serves consumption alcohol and beverage, alcohol and wine for consumption on premises. That's what we, the commissioners, have to make a decision about.
Well, I did.
Hold up. We do take in consideration what the community feels about what goes to that place as well. That's our job to do. We don't do it just willy-nilly. We make sure that we talk to the citizens and they give us an input before we make this decision. What you're doing is very commendable, and we really applaud all that. So as we move forward, we will hear from anyone as we move forward. Eventually, we will hear from people who have some disagreement or disagree with us granting the license. Yeah, I call them beverage license. So I know I haven't heard from Commissioner Harris. If you're on board, you'd like to say something?
Oh, she's muted, I think.
Okay.
Mayor, can I ask for a point of clarification?
You can.
Are the alcohol license doesn't indicate Sunday alcohol sales. So is this establishment going to be closed on Sunday? You said something about a Sunday brunch. Will there not be any sales on Sunday of alcohol?
We actually open 7 days a week, and if I didn't put that in, I thought I put it in, but at this point, I built my business based upon the city and the state ordinance, which both said I was able to do it, and I really want to be able to exercise what I did based on the ordinance that was already in place. However, if the commission or the community got an issue with something going on Sundays, I'm open to adjust. There's nothing in stone. Even like I told them, I don't even need alcohol signs or promotions around here. I'm not trying to conflict with the church or upset anybody at the church.
Okay, Sergeant Smock, does his, the license that he's applying for, does that allow him to do Sunday sales based on the amount of food that he's?
His application does not indicate a request for Sunday sales. However, in the past, and granted, I've been away from this for a while, but we used to allow restaurants to open on Sunday if they received over 50% or less than 50% of their income came from restaurant sales, not alcohol sales.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And I can assure alcohol is not going to be more than about 20% of my sales, if that. I just want to be able to have an option to offer that. This is a full-fledged family restaurant. We also have Atlanta that do the same. So alcohol is not going to be close to that measure.
Okay, the
And
city attorney.
This is Commissioner Harris, and I am listening.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Commissioner Harris, give me a minute for you can speak after city attorney. Give us the real what's happening with Sunday sales. I thought it was automatic that person automatically can get Sunday sales.
No, there's only certain businesses, but this business being a restaurant would qualify. I mean, I would expect if he's doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I think his food sales would, and it's still the same standard of 50% food sales, so long as you have greater than 50% of your sales coming in from the restaurant side of it, as opposed to alcohol sales, then you are eligible to receive Sunday sales.
So more than likely, he would be eligible for Sunday sales. Am I right?
I would say, based on his description of the business, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Harris.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, you got any comments though? Right now?
I don't have any at this time. I've spoken with both sides of it.
Okay. Commissioner Cason, you comment?
No, I did get cleared up that he gave us his hours 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., but really didn't say 7 days a week. So that was cleared up. That's the only thing that I didn't pick up in the dialogue there. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Case. And this is Commissioner Harris. I feel on both sides of it. I think that Mr. Riddles is a very nice young man. He's done an awesome job with the location there. But I also see the church's vantage on this as well. If it were next to another church somewhere else, if it was next to First Baptist, would we be having this type of conversation? So I have to weigh in from both sides. I saw a comment come in from someone, and they were making a statement regarding the brewery downtown. Well, the brewery is next to a church. Well, what it is across the street from the church, but is it 600 feet? Is it in the downtown area? Is it the general commercial core area? Certain things that apply, and we have to understand the ordinances that we have in place and stuff. And I've spoken with Mr. Riddle in detail regarding this matter, and I support him as the business. But I am torn because it is next to the church, and I've expressed this to him as well. But I want him to also know, and I've already told him, that I do fully support him as the proprietor and his vision and what he wants to do. But I also have to come with the church community as well and support how they feel having the establishment to be able to sell beer and wine next to the church. And so I went further and looked at information that maybe have been provided to him, making sure of what the state code says, what OCGA says 3-3-21, and how, in the context in which it is written, as well as chapter 3, article 1 of our alcohol licensings and stuff, and looking at the full information that it also addresses as well. And that's the 600 feet from a church. And we've dealt with this before, and we have established, to a certain degree, we have established the precedent that when it falls within that 600 feet, how we move to consider what is being proposed here. So that's my say, that's my 2 cents.
You know, I'd like to add too, this is Commissioner Cason, that we really have been very clear and consistent in the church, school, and housing authority property. and trying to really and truly consider the folks that were there first, I believe. And I know we had it out at the college. We had it on L Street. We've had it all over. And the 600 feet is not something that's just starting to be talked. It is something that we have been very consistent as a city commissioner, and particularly when we have people weigh in that are opposed to alcohol. And that is certainly the case here. I've had plenty of people to weigh in and send me emails, and I've got a long list of people, as a matter of fact. So I agree that the diligence is that we have been consistent here in church, school, and housing authority.
Commissioners, if I may speak, the city and the state orders only speak of distilled spirits, which is liquor. I'm not applying for liquor. I'm just, and there's no order saying that nothing prevent me from being beer and wine only. And that's per the orders that we speaking of. And as Commissioner Harris said earlier, even with, again, like I said, even with speaking with the church, who's going to be to the church from this point moving forward, we're not sure. The dispute that's going with the church is over who's going to run the church. So we're not exactly sure who's going to be running the church next door to me. But we are certain that I'm going to be here providing opportunities to the community that I am. So I just feel like this here, and I don't mean no disrespect to nobody, but I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because I ask God that his will be done. And if at this point, my only predecessor coming against me is the people of the church, but not a church as a united church, but a divided church. So who's going to be here at the end of it besides me?
Well, I'm pretty sure there will be members. The church going to be there, whether they have members in there or not. The church still going to be there. You
have members voting against me that may not be there because their pastor may not be there.
They're going to be there, and it's an establishment, like we said, sir. Any other comments, commissioners? Okay, Mr. Riddle, you got anything else to say before I open it up to the public?
All I can say, I'm more of an asset than a detriment to the community, and you personally know that, as well as a lot of other people that's on this line know that. I didn't come back home to take nothing away from Brunswick, but to provide stuff to Brunswick.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, commissioners, being the fact that this is a public hearing, we will open this up to anyone who would like to speak for or against the granting of this petition, this alcohol license, excuse me. As I stated before about the chat, make sure you issue into the chat. And also, I'm pretty sure there have been emails that have been come in with their opinion opposing or asking us to approve. So, Ms. City Clerk, will you can you read some of those emails?
Hey, excuse me, Mayor. Before we get into the emails, wouldn't that be just hearsay if we can't ask opinions of an email? So that email.
Let me handle this, okay? We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Ms. Clerk, City Clerk.
Yes, Mayor. We did get an email from Linda Mincy, and she said, I am a resident property owner and registered voter. I am writing in opposition to the liquor license request of Travis Riddle. We have enough businesses that sell alcohol beverages in the African-American communities. Our families, especially our children, suffered the most from these types of businesses, especially the proximity so close to the church, Greater Hall Temple. It's not acceptable. This is truly not a good idea. As you know, daily we hear of DUI arrests in our city and county. Countless vehicle accidents are attributed to alcohol use, and the use rate of domestic abuse and child abuse is impacted by alcohol use. Please, for our children and community, vote no tonight. That was from an email. We had several others that mostly said the same thing. And
Okay, just read the name off, please, and that'll be fine.
okay, I'm gonna read the names. One moment, please, from the chat.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the beginning. Okay, we have Carol McDaniel, she opposes. Just a Samsung phone number, no name, opposed. Timothy Bassett Sr., he is in favor of Mr. Riddle. He has expressed that he would think it would be good to have the business. Linda Bobbitt Lewis opposed. Pat Blash opposed. Just now, Felicia, wait a minute, Dr. George Lewis opposed. Pat Blash again. For Alan Lamar Blash opposed. Shayla Cunningham opposed. Felicia Smith opposed. Greater Hall for members opposed. Chelsea Baker opposed. Chad Smith opposed. May Helen Wilkerson opposed. Angela Moore opposed. Ivan McDaniel opposed. Carol McDaniel opposed. Veronica King opposed. Sandra Williams opposed. Bertha Dow is in favor. She thinks Mr. Travis is an awesome young man and believe he will be a responsible owner. Ann King and Glenn King opposed. Peggy Carroll opposed. Linda Mincy again on chat, she opposed. Okay, we had another one, I don't see a name, but she was in favor. Okay, and that's, well, Slim Riddle is in favor. Veronica King, opposed. It's nothing to do with, yeah, opposed, and that's about it. And the other one are just statements.
Okay.
Mayor Harvey.
Hold up,
Are
Mr. Riddle. Mr. Riddle, it's not your turn to speak yet.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Are there anyone else on the panel on the what's called who speak for or against the granting of this alcohol beverage license? It's been recommended by our Sergeant Smock that it has no restrictions in place. There were no negative things to preclude the granting of this license. That's what he said. So, Mr. Riddle, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Now, I just want to clarify. I'm hearing the secretary when she read saying people opposed to a liquor license. I'm not applying for a liquor license, nor have I spoke of a liquor license. And I just want to make sure the people that's opposing me understand what they're opposing. This is not a liquor license. This is a beer and wine license. There's no liquor on premises, and there will be no liquor on premises. So I just want to make sure my application went miscommunicated to these people, and they voting for something that's not even up to be voted about.
Okay. Well, I think hopefully no one's getting those two mixed up. Alcohol beverage license is what
She said it in the email. She said liquor.
You are applying for alcohol beverage license, which includes beer and wine and consumption on premises. But the city attorney, I know we're right at a very crossroads, and Mr. Riddle is a very good individual who is bringing industry to our community. However, the community he's setting this business in seem to be opposing his use of having an alcohol beverage license, which he would need to be successful in what he's doing. Is there, and I know is there any way where any provision for provincial license to to, let's say, for a certain amount of time, so people can see that he would not be detrimental or will be detrimental to the community?
No, there's nothing like that in our code. The code does provide a provisional license if they were preparing a piece of property, but I think we've actually removed that in our most recent amendment because it was actually more problematic than it was successful. I'd have to look just to double check.
But you understand what I'm trying to say, right?
I think that, I think so. I wouldn't call it a provisional license. It would be more of a license to be issued that, like if it was like under probation. Is that what you're asking? Or
Well, I don't want, he's not under probation. He haven't done anything to be under probation.
Right.
But for, you know, a number of people feel that's going to be detrimental to the community. He hasn't, he should be given the opportunity to prove that one way or the other.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we do have a provisional license portion. I believe it's for a period that doesn't exceed 90 days. And I think that, but I don't know if that would meet the, it seems like Mr. Riddle is seeking a permanent, you know, a full-time alcohol license. I don't know if I'd kind of have to look into that a little bit more to see if a provisional license would be appropriate. I don't see why it wouldn't necessarily, but I'd be more concerned that if you approved one, typically it would be that you get one for 90 days so that you can be, the day that you've completed your build out on your property, you can open up and then seek a full license. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be something that the commission, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it since he's here seeking now a full alcohol license.
Let me ask this question.
I think that we're not trying to prohibit Mr. Riddle from opening a business. I think we're all fully supportive of his desire and wishes to open up a business, and I think we would support him wholeheartedly. I think it's just the beer and wine.
Let me ask this question.
Open up his business, and he can serve food and do everything he wants to and see how everything goes. And at some later point, if he wants to reapply, you know, if in fact he is denied tonight, he has every opportunity.
But again, that's me putting me on probation before I even did anything wrong. I feel like if that's the case, let me start out with it. And if I abuse it, then take them away.
That's what we do anyhow, Mr. Riddle. So.
Oh, sorry, man.
And I didn't mean to suggest that we should issue a license with probation. I don't think that's not necessarily appropriate either.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, you had a comment. We never get a chance to hear you.
Yes, I had a comment, and I was kind of, you know, saying and looking at this from a different angle. And I understand people's concerns. I understand church people's concerns and all those different things. But you know, let's be for real. Every one of us shop in Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie sells what?
Beer and wine.
Alcohol. They sell beer and wine every day. You don't have to participate, or you don't have to even go into Winn-Dixie. You don't have to go into the convenience store, the corner store that sells alcohol. You don't have to. If the church, watch this, if Mr. Riddles or anybody for that matter had alcohol in their establishment and did not advertise it, you would not know it's there unless you went inside and saw the menu or saw whatever. This is what he's saying. He's saying, I'm not going to have any advertisement. I'm not going to, you know, and I understand the concern for the church, and I'm wholeheartedly, I understand that. I've been there. I deal with that. But at the same time, you know, when we're trying to promote business in the city of Brunswick, and in order for people to be successful if they feel that certain things need to be in their business, I think that we ought to give them that opportunity to make sure that that happens. But if it's abused, then of course, we've got every legal right or every ground to go back and say, okay, this can't happen, or this will not continue to happen. You know, that's kind of where I'm at. But again, I'm a part of this commission, and whatever the desire of the commission is, that's the direction we'll have to go.
Excuse me, Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
The mayor of the interim pastor, Greater Hall Temple wants to speak. Is he allowed to speak?
Is he here? Is he online?
I don't see him as a panelist. Cal would have to put him as a panelist to speak if you allow it.
I currently do not see him as an attendee that I can see, and if I can find him, I could possibly promote him or give him the ability to talk, but I do not see him on the list of attendees.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I think I just found him. One moment.
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is interim pastor, Dr. George L. Lewis, who's the interim pastor of Greater Hall Temple Church of God in Christ. I'm giving honor to everyone that is on the board, and to you, Mayor, and to everyone else. We find that Mr. Riddle, we don't have no problem with him establishing no business. And me and my wife, we had talked to him telephonically. And myself, by me being a professional person, I feel that he's kind of like beating around the bush. The situation is that we desired not for him to serve alcohol and alcoholic beverages, all right, which is beer and wine. We are a holiness Pentecostal church, and we preach against, that. And so therefore he needs to understand, and by virtue of him stating that he is a churchman, all right, he needs to understand that he don't need to be selling, that type of beverage, around the church. And then not only that, he needs to respect that. Yes, we understand him being ambitious as far as his business is concerned, and he's very smart and intelligent, but he should respect, as far as our beliefs and what we stand for, because we are Bible believing saints of God, Christians believing in Jesus Christ, as far as what he promotes in the Bible. And I believe that he should respect that. He can do anything that he needs to do as far as his business being successful and as far as him promoting it. But we stand against him selling wine coolers, beer, and anything else that has alcohol in it that will cause the individual to drink it. And then not only that, he needs to stay within the 600 feet, which is by law. And that's the only thing, that's the only issue. He can serve as much food and whatever else he wants to serve, but we deny him serving alcoholic beverages. That's the situation. All right, Mayor, you gave him an opportunity to speak, and I want an opportunity to rebuttal. And I don't mean in no disrespectful way possible, but I'm going to say this. Just like he said, he's a God-fearing Christian and all that stuff, but also, I will had a meeting set with him where he never said no, but I got a phone call saying that he cannot speak on behalf of Greater Hall, and I respect that. So
excuse me, sir.
Excuse me.
Hold up.
Back and forth. Hold up.
But
Everybody.
what I'm gonna say this, because license to call me. But his wife picked up the phone to call me and said they are instructing not to speak on Greater Hall to meet with me to discuss my vision. So how is he able to meet with you and discuss that? But it's a Christian. Okay. Your belief and my belief are the same belief in different views. That's what the Bible is made of. Just because he's opposed of it. The Bible says be a law of the land. The land has no law saying I don't want supposed to do what I'm asking to be done here. And the Bible also say he without sin cast the first stone. So therefore, if he's telling me, you can smile, Harvey, but listen to me. If he just told me a week ago he denied a meeting with me to discuss my plans for my community, This is my community. Now you can come against me, but now you break that same vow that you said
Mr. Riddle, we're not here to argue or debate. No, you spoke and you said what you had to say. Okay, the pastor said what he had to say. Okay, and I appreciate it. I understand your point of view. I understand his point of view as well. And it's well spoken what you said about he's speaking for the church and whatever. We understand that. So I don't want to get in the back and forth. He and this and that. We don't have to do that. We understand both sides of the issue, and together this commission will make a decision. I've looked for some type of way to meet somewhere in the middle. So I'm pretty sure people don't understand the fact that what your establishment would do. They only perceive what they think what it would do to the community. Sure. I asked for some type of way so we can actually find that out. So some kind of provisional, maybe for 6 months or whatever, and then after we reevaluate again, I asked for something like that, but I don't know whether we can do that or not.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
This is Linda Bobbitt. Can I speak?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Okay. To the commissioner and to the mayor as well. Good evening. I just want to clarify just a couple of things, and I don't want to go back and forth with Mr. Riddle. I did speak with Mr. Riddle, and when he very first called me, Commissioner Harris had asked him to give us a call, which he did not. Then I called Commissioner Harris and I spoke with her about our concerns for the church. Then he did give me a call, and I plainly explained to him that my husband and myself was against him selling alcohol at the church, near the church, excuse me. We did discuss that with him. We were scheduled for a meeting with him, but after speaking with attorney Jim Bishop, who is our attorney, it was best at this time that we did not meet with him. And I did explain that with him. It's not that we doesn't know who's gonna be the pastor of the church. The bishop have until October to give my husband, Dr. George L. Lewis, the final decision. So we know who's gonna be at the church. So that is misleading from Mr. Riddle. I am not in favor of him selling alcohol next to our church because he's not 600 feet from that. That is the law. We're not asking you all to do anything that's not law. We're not asking that. We're just asking that you just follow the law with us. That's all we want. We just want you to follow the law with us.
Thank you, Ms. Bobbitt.
That's all we're asking. And thank you so much for your time and your attention. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bobbitt. The law actually also states that the decision rests with the commission, and also the commission has discretion to grant the license as well as not grant the license based upon the community concerns as well as the 600 feet. That's what our ordinance says. I think we changed that some time ago. Anyhow, as I asked for some type of reconciliation to this matter, it seemed that I'm not getting any. So it seemed like we will have to make a decision, hard decision, one way or the other, whether to grant this alcohol beverage license or to not grant it. And I believe that if we could have come to some type of meet in the middle somewhere where we can at least, since this is so controversial, to have both parties have a trial period, or I guess a trial period, you can call it that, and then go from there and see how does it really affect the community. We only speculating as to what it would do to the community as well. And Mr. City Attorney, you're not aware of anything we can do of that nature, are you?
Well, the code section regarding provisional license would only allow for a 90-day license. And I definitely don't want to speak for Mr. Riddle, but I don't know if that would be something he would want to entertain. I mean, 90 days, it just seems like it might be better to make a decision on the full, his full license for the remainder of the year.
I would hate not to grant him a license based upon he didn't have opportunity to show the community what he could do, and that he would not be a detriment to the community. I would hate for that to happen either.
Sure. And again, I think you've already stated that the ordinance, it's not a direct prohibition. It's just that the city commission must take into consideration all of the factors in making this decision.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Williams. I was, I'm sitting here listening, I'm thinking, and at this point, I don't think that we're going to come to a resolution or decision. I don't know. I mean, I know you still got the floor open for comments. I didn't know if you were ready for a motion or anything of that nature. But if so, I would make a motion to defer this item until we can have our city attorney to look into that legality for a temporary permit, I guess you would be the word, or whatever, and then we get back and make a decision from that point.
That sounds good, Commissioner Williams, but I don't know, is that amenable to Mr. Riddle? He's been trying so hard to go on with his restaurant.
Hey guys, if I could do, y'all can allow me a year probationary period. If my business don't bring more positive to the community, I walk away from it. But I'm not for my community. I'm here to build my community. I'm bringing jobs to my community. I'm bringing opportunities to my community. If I do anything other than that, at the end of the year, I walk away from it. But I know what my goal is, and I know what my past have brought to this community. See, we got all these people opposing to what I'm doing now, but nobody was opposing when my face was in front of all the protests, when my family couldn't sleep for what I was doing for my city. My mama worried about something happening to me because what I'm doing for my city. Now I'm trying to make money, provide for my family and my community. It's a problem.
Mr. Riddle, I don't think anyone's against you. From I told you before, no one's against you for doing things. The issue is the alcohol beverage license. That's the issue.
Mayor, I don't need advertisement. I don't need no promotion.
Other than that, there's no one against you doing what you're doing. Everybody is real proud of you and what you're doing, and doing something positive for our community. It's just that they are concerned, especially members of that church, are concerned about the selling of alcohol beverage so near to their church, which is right next door.
Mayor, my business affect that church within a year. I let it go. All I ask for the opportunity to do what I came here to do. And I give you my word on Zoom, and everybody's watching. If my job interfere with that church in any kind of way, besides anybody's personal opinion, I will not renew next year.
That's very commendable, Mr. Riddle, but as I said before, this has nothing to do with us granting this alcohol beverage license.
Sir.
We will make a decision one way or the other. And Mr. City Attorney, Commissioner Williams made some type of comment about that. Is there any way we can? Do we need time to figure that out?
I think that the ordinance is pretty clear on the provisional. I mean, it says not to exceed 90 days, and I guess to the point that that we're discussing this, the city commission always has the ability to bring an alcohol license back to a commission meeting if a negative action were to take place. I mean, we've done it, several times in the past 2 years where something has come up. It is brought back to the commission's attention, and the commission can then take action. So, there's always the flexibility that if something, were to take place, it can be brought back to the city commission's attention. So I would say that even if you're looking, to say a temporary or provisional license and place a time period on it, it would be almost the same as granting the license in the first place, and then still having the ability to always review and bring it back before the commission to make some sort of determination as to whether additional action needs to be taken.
Okay. Any other comment, commissioners? Mr. Riddle,
Yes, sir.
are you time sensitive that you can't wait till we meet our next meeting, because it's feel that there's a few things that's left out here that haven't been discussed, and I don't want to be up here all night discussing this.
Yes, sir. Basically, I want to leave. I'm heading out to Atlanta. I'm waiting on the meeting to head back to Atlanta to get the rest of my furniture. And if I was approved for the beer and wine, I'm gonna bring back the rest of the equipment to be able to do as such. Other than that, everything at the restaurant is we pretty much ready to go. Just got to meet with some vendors, but time is as assessment, because like I said, I'm booked every day next year with Glen Academy and Brunswick High, and that's gonna be my main focus once school is open. So I mean, I don't want to put nobody in no bind, but all I just want is opportunity, Mayor, commissioners, Brunswick, everybody listening. And I mean, I don't know no other way to put it besides the only way I'm gonna be selling alcohol is if you come in here and order alcohol. I'm not putting signs in the window. I'm not using the bandanas. I'm not, I just want to bring something nice to the community.
Mr. Riddle, excuse me, Mr. Riddle, I have a question. This is one business owner to another.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
from one business owner to another, I have a question. I have to ask this, please. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
You need to address the commission first, and we give you opportunity to ask me.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. This is Felicia Smith. I am the daughter of Miss Bobbitt and Dr. George L. Lewis. I'm just a little flustered.
Commission with your question to Mr. Riddle. Okay.
Okay. So my question to Mr. Riddle is, as one business owner, if we are business owners, do we have to have so much invested into the alcohol portion? I get it. I get it. We want to make money. We want to do what we can to, build our community up. I grew up here. I grew up in Brunswick. Been in the military, about to retire, a veteran. I got it. I'm coming back here. I also see what alcohol does. But guess what? If we are investing in our community, it doesn't take just alcohol. That's not what it takes. It takes hard work. That's what it takes. Alcohol isn't going to make or break.
Ms. Bobbitt, is there a question in it?
I'm not Bobbitt, I'm a Smith.
Ms. Smith, is you asking me a question?
This is kind of rhetorical, Mr. Riddle. It's really not anything for you to answer. It's something for you to think about while you're on the road going back to Atlanta.
But you were asking, you say you had a question.
It's rhetorical. It's rhetorical.
Okay, if we're going to be rhetorical, I'm going to say this. I never smoked, never drunk, never sold drugs, no convictions. I never done any of that. But what I have done was came to Brunswick in the rough side of town, cleared out land to build duplexes that I put on Section 8. I got land in Dixfield that I put on. But I want to know what her business is doing versus my business. But my business is on Brunswick, and that's why when you see me marching down the street, that's why I got hundreds of people walking with me, because they know what me and my business do for this community. So,
Mr. Riddle, hold up, please, Mr. Riddle. We know what you can do. Let's not get into this. We're not going to do that. I suggest that we get an opportunity to everybody can sit down, they can talk, but not over this Zoom medium. We're not going to do that because we be here all day talking back and forth, and I don't think we need to do that.
Mr. Mayor, if I could offer up something really quickly. Sorry, this is Brian. If this were to be approved today, it's June or July 1st. It would essentially be a 6-month alcohol license. It would be up for renewal at the end of the year. It would give the opportunity, sort of what you were looking for earlier. But that's up to the commission. I just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kerr. But I also I like Commissioner Williams' answer for I know people have not had a chance to really actually discuss this. They have talked in silos and not to directly to try to figure out some type of way so we can mediate this rather than just all of a sudden just thrown into the lap of the commission. I like what you just said about the 6 months. Yes, it will be 6 months. However, if we get an opportunity to do this at our next meeting, it will afford the opportunity for these meetings that people say they will want to have to go ahead and have those meetings. And it also will give me and the commissioners an opportunity to actually talk to Mr. Riddle and also talk to the church to see if we can come to some type of agreement as to where we move from there. I'm not against granting Mr. Riddle his license, and I'm not in favor of granting it either. So I'm really I like what he's going to do for our community, but I also have to take into consideration the comments and the whims of the church, of the community as well. So, and I hope I'm only speaking for just for myself. If other commissioners feel that way, please chime in and let me know where you are.
Can we call for some kind of a motion at this point? I think
Commissioner Williams has already made a motion to defer.
Yeah, I offered a motion to that effect.
And I second his deferral.
Okay, all right, then we'll beat this horse down to nothing. We will. I had a motion to defer to our next meeting. Meanwhile, while we defer, I would like for those meetings to take place that have been postponed. Are there any further discussion on that motion?
Oh, they can't.
If not, Madam Clerk, call the roll for me, please.
Commissioner Casey, how do you vote?
Yes to defer.
Commissioner Harris, how do you vote?
I say yes to the deferral.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin?
yes.
Mayor Harvey?
Yes, so therefore that motion carries. We will defer this until our next meeting. Mr. Riddle, we have not approved or disapproved your license, but we will take this up at our next meeting and a decision will be made at our next meeting. I apologize for not being able to make a decision tonight, but we will make a decision at our next meeting.
Is there anything I need to do in between that time, or?
No, sir. I'm pretty sure there will be meetings with you by the church, and there'll also be meeting with you from some of our commissioners as well. Sit down and talk. You'll get an opportunity they can go over your building and see exactly what your plan is, and so we see how it would affect our community, so they can get a better understanding of what's going on.
Mayor, I'm grateful for the decision you're making, but I'm also kind of confused because it almost seemed like the power of how I run my business is based on somebody else's opinion. If I'm running a legit business, and as the pastor said, they want you to follow the law. The law do not prohibit me from what I'm doing, but what we are doing to get them the power to tell me how to run my business.
No, sir. The law is that the commission can take in consideration the comments and the what's called of the community. We together do that. It's nothing that has to do with, they're not dictating anything.
But you're saying you want me to speak with them and see what the opinion is.
Well, we still have to do that. That's what we do. So, and I apologize for not making a decision tonight, and one could have been made.
Yes.
However, we want to give people opportunity of the commission to take a look at taking all the information they can, and the decision will be made.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate y'all time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move right along. I'm sorry we went for a long period of time with that one. Next item is public hearing land use rezoning petition number 20-02 from Golden Isles Veteran Village Initiative, Inc. Agent petitioning to rezone parcels bound by Amherst Street, G Street, and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard from residential to planned development, traditional neighborhood, PDTN. Mr. John Hunter is presenting.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. You have the staff report for the requested rezoning.
Talk a little louder, John, please.
Is that a little better?
A little bit.
All right, I'm gonna move my computer a little closer to me. All right. The subject parcels comprise plus or minus 1 acre located at G Street, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and Amherst Street. That involves multiple parcels that are currently under single ownership. The parcels are currently undeveloped. The existing zoning is general residential, and most of the adjacent parcels are also zoned general residential, except there are 2 parcels across Amherst that are zoned general commercial. The request has been to rezone this as a planned development traditional neighborhood. Planned developments are utilized in areas where sometimes our zoning can be a little inflexible and not keep up with current trends or keep up with the certain needs of a developer. And they can apply to adjust an area so that it better suits their needs, but it is in a way that is compatible with the surrounding areas. The proposed development is the Golden Isles Veteran Village tiny house development. There would be 36 units of tiny houses to house homeless veterans. If you look on page 4 and page 5 of the report, you can see what those tiny houses would look like. Obviously, they're small. They're 128 square feet or 144 square feet, depending on the need. There would also be a community building on the site. On page 5, there is a proposed site plan. Just to clarify, this shows the entire block that this development is in, but not the entire block is part of this planned development. Only the parcels currently committed to this project. There are roughly 6 parcels on the northern end toward H Street that are not part of this proposal. Zoning is somewhat inflexible and sometimes doesn't support new ideas or mixed use developments. For this reason, many ordinances, including Brunswick's, incorporates the planned development district. If the city commission approved the project, this master plan becomes a binding contract between the developer and the city. The developer gains design flexibility that's not allowed by the current zoning standards, but the city is able to negotiate a development that meets the needs of the city. The proposed use as a tiny house development is a relatively new approach to housing. Brunswick's traditionally had small house forms such as shotgun houses, but this new approach falls outside our typical zoning ordinances. It's not uncommon in Georgia, and many communities have begun allowing tiny house development such as this via the adoption of a planned development text. The applicant has done this in Appendix C of your report. It provides basically an entire zoning section that applies to this 1 acre. It's modeled after a almost identical tiny house development in Savannah that this project's being modeled after. And it allows a certain number of changes to the site. One of those in particular is the density. So that typically, as you see the original parcels, I believe we're dealing with 10 parcels on this site. So you'd only be allowed 10 housing units based on those parcel sizes. Square footage wise, though, you're probably fairly close between 10 houses that you could build there versus the 36 tiny houses that you would have at the site. The PD also establishes some rules for the development, mainly limiting the uses to just this housing and the activities of this program. There would be a no allowal of tents, no allowal of someone to have a home occupancy business based on the location. And it also provides guidance on how they would need to come back if they ever needed to change this plan in the future. So they would have to come back to the city commission to get approval to changes to this PD. It also changes some of the setback requirements so that there's a 20-foot setback around the property, so that unlike some of the houses in that area already, which are normally 10 to 15 feet from the street, you'd be 20 feet back from the street and 20 feet back from the neighboring property line. It also provided some guidance about how it needed to conform to the historic district design guidelines, which is not necessarily part of a planned development normally. It may allude to it, but this actually includes it within the verbiage of the PD. Sorry, I'm having to flip back to the plans here, get back on track. Compatibility is one of the things we look at when we're considering something like a planned development. And the issue of incompatibility frequently occurs when you have a more intensive use located next to a less intensive use. The proposed project is not significantly different when compared to the surrounding development, and issues of incompatibility are not expected to occur. None of the proposed buildings are taller than 1 story in height, and the proposed residential density is not significantly greater than the surrounding residential area when considering overall square footage of the building. Another thing that you look at in considering a rezoning is whether this creates a spot zoning situation. A planned development like this is not considered spot zoning if it is compatible with the surrounding area in terms of overall uses. This is a residential location within a residential neighborhood for the most part, although there are a couple of parcels that are commercial nearby. So it's believed that compatibility and spot zoning will not be an issue. One of the other things we also look at is how this fits into our comprehensive plan designation. This is in the Old Town comprehensive plan character area, and Old Town is really to encourage, in terms of development patterns, mixed use or hospitality developments on a human scale with retail on ground floor to activate the waterfront, commercial structures, grayfield redevelopment, major institutions such as government buildings, churches, schools, houses located near the street with front porches that encourage interaction with neighbors, accessory housing units that provide rental opportunities, new residential development that matches the mix of housing types and styles in the community, development of existing multifamily developments, or prohibitions of land uses that have outdoor storage, or prohibition of industrial uses. We don't see this as being incompatible with the comprehensive plan, although it is a new format that really wasn't fully considered necessarily by our comprehensive plan. Staff recommended approval of the rezoning to establish the Veterans Village Plan Development Traditional Neighborhood. This went to the Planning and Appeals Commission at their June 5th meeting. The Planning and Appeals Commission discussion centered upon the staff recommendations, the potential impacts at the site surrounding zoning, how this related to the comprehensive plan, how it differed from other tiny houses and homeless-oriented projects in the community, the management of the program and residents, and what constitutes a PD. One resident asked questions about the management of the residents and of potential safety issues. The Planning and Appeals Commission recommended approval of the staff recommendation to approve the rezoning request to establish the Veterans Village PD. That summarizes my report. I know you've had an opportunity possibly to drive by and are familiar with the location. We also have Starling Sutton and John Bartosh with us representing the project. They'd be able to answer more specific questions about the operations, timelines, plans, everything else. So if you have some questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. And if not, and give them the
Okay,
opportunity to
Commissioner,
answer.
question for Mr. Hunter?
You know, I would like to, this is Johnny Cason. I grew up there in Urbana Park, and right there in that area, when it rains, I mean, it is really and truly, water stays in there, particularly on G Street. And I guess you've considered this. I mean, you've got an elevation that I suppose has got to be adhered to here.
Yes, sir. They have to meet any of
You
our
have some
elevations.
serious drainage problems right there at that intersection. I've seen water standing in there over the curb many a time. So I'm sure you checked that. That's a question. You know, are you going to put these on a foundation, or how's the drainage there?
Commissioner Johnny, we have certainly addressed that issue, and we have had meetings with the joint water and sewer and contractors and other people. And what we are doing actually is developing the property with respect to what the property is. And that the property will actually probably have a natural creek that will flow through it, and the houses will be around or near that creek. But you're absolutely correct, and we're not going to jump on joint water and sewer. We'll work with them. But there are some issues that we had to take in consideration with that particular piece of property. But the land prep that we will have to do and probably changing some elevation will mitigate the problem that's out there and actually hopefully turn the problem into an amenity. But it is something that we have been concerned about and are addressing.
Good. I just want to bring that to your attention. I mean, it's I've seen G Street where you could hardly drive it, and I think that's improved over the years. So I'm sure that's something that you will work on here. Another question I had is I see that you can't have a car if you're going to live here. Is that correct?
The answer is yes.
John, I'm going to defer to Colonel Bartosh on that.
Wait a minute, everybody. Let's you do answer the question to John Hunter, and then I'll allow Mr. Bartoff and Mr. Sutton to go ahead and speak. No question for Mr. Hunter. Okay,
well, I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure what all the red arrows are that were on the page 3. One question I have is, are the residents going to be renting? And if so, will there be management on site?
The answer to that question.
Probably a question for Mr. Bartoff or either Mr. Sutton. Let me just get both of them up here and let them open up their mic, and they'll be able to answer this one.
Okay, all right.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bartoff.
Okay. First of all, in regards to the drainage issue, based upon the catch basins that are located on G and Martin Luther King, I'm concerned if there's that much backup in regards to that geographic area. That's 3.4 feet at sea level currently. I'm concerned about the drainage based upon that being offered by the Joint Water and Sewer Authority. The other part of that in regards to the management of, the answer is the individuals will have contracts that they will be required to sign. Remember that this project is a hand up and not a handout. They are not going to live there permanently. The whole intent of the hand up is to get them acclimated to the realities of returning to civilian life. That is why we have structured the village as it is through the trees that are there, those magnificent oak trees because most of those people are living in vegetation currently. And as well as the fact that we want to retain those, that's a habitat that they're very familiar with. In regards to having someone on property, the answer is there will be someone on property. That's the whole purpose of having an 1,100 square foot or less community center where the management office would be located. Yet until that particular property is able to be erected, there will be one of those tiny houses that will serve as the, excuse the term, residence of that individual who's going to oversee or manage that property to the contract that those individuals will sign on. The reason we also selected that particular site is the pending developments of the geographic area. Risley Center is going to be an adult developmental center for the abilities of individuals to learn specifics to allow them to become more gainfully employed. That is one of our goals within our program, where the individuals will be required to participate in job training activities. We have already worked with the Georgia Technical School, and we have established the opportunity of getting them into reading programs, writing programs to enhance their skills for writing resumes and be able to start looking for particular employment. With the Job Corps area, we have the opportunity of possibly bringing some of those seniors or those individuals who are going to be going out to the trade world, hopefully, through the auspices of some local unions that we've been working with as guides for those individuals. They're going to help erect those particular buildings to code. A comment was made, are we going to put them on pads or on piers? The schematic that you have, or I'm sorry, the CAD drawings that were submitted have both applications applied. There are some low areas closest to G Street that might require those piers, which are to engineering standards. They are 10-inch piers, rebar enforced, with hurricane straps embedded within. So basically speaking, we have the opportunity through this training program, because in that community center that we're hoping to adhere to, would have 2 small rooms where training sessions by the local schools could be brought in. There'll be some counseling centers to deal with medical, psychological, as well as additional counseling activities necessary. And that small community center will also have calculation for washers and dryers, so they do not have to wander around with laundry to get clean attire for their daily activities. So the answer to the specific question, will there be someone on site? The answer is yes. Will there be services provided? The answer is some of those have already been worked out. We're waiting for an opportunity to look at a start date so we can start working with MOAs with those agencies to lock them into specifics that we're adhering to in relationship to returning those people to civilian life. Will there be a fee served? The answer is, would you? Tiny. I apologize for that phone, folks. Would you believe that I know there is one individual that was approached that has a money belt around his waist because he does not trust banks, doesn't know how to set up a checking account. So those issues of being able to deal with daily life activities is one of the items that we're going to help them understand and help them develop. Most of those veterans who are registered with VA receive a monthly stipend. The question is where is that going? And the other part of it is, are they retained it around their waist? I can tell you point blank now that I have a son in the VA facility in Spokane, Washington. Having dealt with some of the counselors there on his behalf, I have found that there are people walking around the city of Spokane with money belts, and some of them have in excess of $5,000. That is a non-safe environment, as you all know. So I don't want to keep rambling on in relationship to what we can provide the geographic area, but I can tell you that the tiny houses are going to be outfitted in such a way that will help them take care of their daily needs, will allow them to stay there up to and including 2, maybe 3 years maximum. But they're going beyond that time frame is going to be based upon, one, their participation in the program. And I mean participation because if they do not participate, they will not be residents of the village.
Thank you, Mr. Bartoff. I really appreciate that. Anyone else have any comment or questions for Mr. Sutton or Mr. Bartoff? Or
Will
Mr.
you
Hunter?
allow pets?
Will we allow pets?
Yeah.
Commissioner, you know that animal therapy is a fantastic way of helping people who need help with psychological and other mental activities. Not only for those who have PTSD that are in their 20s, but for elderly as well. As a special ed master's degreed individual, I have worked in those programs and they're very effective.
Good.
Any other questions?
That, and Mr. Hunter stated this too about porches or patio areas, but I didn't really see that in any of the schematics. Will there be some other common areas other than just grilling areas where people can, you know, sit on a front porch or on a bench?
Yeah, Commissioner Martin, absolutely. There will be a front stoop like a deck at the front door. And then each house will have a fuller deck, a bigger deck, and at the back of the house. The back deck will probably be about 7 inches off of the ground, and the front deck will be like just one step up if you were stepping up to any home with the last step. There will be a number of the units or the houses that will be handicap equipped from the very beginning. And those will not have step-ups, but the others will have 7-inch a step-up from the ground, and there will be wood decks, and there will be paths that curb and linear paths that go in through the lot. And that was one of the things that we really were sensitive about, is the numbers of our residents will be people who have actually been out living on the streets and in the woods. And if we take them totally out of their environment, they're not going to stay in the tiny houses that are luxurious. So we tried, one of the reasons we decided on this particular piece of property was the property itself. It had beautiful hardwoods, live oaks, and that we could do curb and linear paths, porches, decks, off of those paths, and still have an atmosphere that does not, in a neighborhood, a community that does not put the homeless person right back smack on the street where they live. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I appreciate the further explanation. It was also challenging to see on page 5 where the preliminary layout is, whether there was going to be any fencing, whether it's partial or fully.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to see, but there will be fencing. And what we have done, Commissioner, as you're aware of and others are, there's a lot of activity beginning, development beginning on MLK. And one of the issues is that we respected the property. We respected the neighborhood that it was in. We have the old Risley School that will be a service center next to us. It's actually fenced in, and it has wrought iron and some brick pillars. Next to that, in the next block, is public housing that has beautiful landscaping, has wrought iron fences with brick pillars. So that's what we will do with the site. And it is on the site plan, it's just kind of hard to see. But we would have that fencing around the site, and with the fencing will be landscaping.
Well, I think it's looks like a very nice plan in an area that is, you know, it's a depressed area if you drive around in there residentially, the housing stock, and it looks like it could use a good shot in the arm. And I think the proximity that the village would be located to the Risley Center, Community of Hope, is really, should be a huge benefit.
Well, not only that, we also have the Manor House on the other end of the block, which we actually hope to raise some funds for and help make some improvements there. And then also we have a nice grocery store 2 blocks up on Albany. And we're 2 or 3 blocks from the Veterans Office. So it was a very strategic location. It's not perfect, and that's wonderful. We work with what's there.
Mr. Bartov, your mic is muted.
My wife tells me I'm not technologically inclined. In regards to some additional items, if I may, I remember on the backside of the Risley School, a fantastic hothouse that was removed. Believe it or not, there are plans afoot based upon 9 Line Foundation, who is the sponsor, one of the sponsors behind our program, but also the main sponsor behind the program in Savannah. They have a prefab aquaponics hothouse that they're hoping to erect at the Risley Center to get people involved in a new type of farming and learn a new type of a trade, which will bring additional benefits to the geographic area. I had when I was the director at Fort Stewart of the Soldier for Life program, those soldiers who were transitioning out, we started a program where we built the first little tiny house, which was 8 by 8, to remove the tents from under the bridge area. That house became such a favorite for many of the folks, they wound up starting to build the 8 by 16 and 8 by 18 houses, which is part of their complex. It too was in an area that wasn't really appropriate, but most of the folks who lived there started a program where they helped the local citizens start to rehab their own properties, which became part of our thoughts in the future as well. Just a hope, but again, remember, this is a hand up, not a handout.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any further questions for Mr. Bartov or Mr. Sutton or Mr. Hunter?
What is the time frame to get started?
Commissioner, I'd like to tell you tomorrow, but we've been holding off, waiting for all of the proceedings to take place so that we can properly do something and start off correct.
Is the demand right now, is it for 36 tiny homes, or is that 36 tiny homes going to get you into the future?
Sir, it's going to get us into the future. We currently have prefabbed 20 of those houses already to bring in and start erecting.
And Commissioner John, we are, if all approvals come into effect, then we are very hopeful that we can start, we'll have a groundbreaking and start construction within the first 2 weeks of August, and we're projecting a completion date May 2021.
Do we have this many homeless veterans in Brunswick right now?
We do, and some of them are kind of like me. We count 2 or 3 times because we're so schizophrenic.
Thank you.
No, we do have, Johnny, as you know, it's been difficult to get a count. And we will tell you honestly, we do not know exactly how many, but we have checked with the agencies, we've checked with the Census Bureau. There's been specific counts for veterans. And we have projections that there's someplace maybe about 65 to 80 homeless veterans in the area.
Okay, we have, excuse me for cutting you off, Mr. Sutton.
That's
But
okay.
we have gotten through this, I think. And do you have any more specific questions for these 3 gentlemen? And so we can move right along. And since this is a public hearing, I have to open it up for anyone who would like to speak for or against the granting of this land use, this petition. And if you have any question or statement pertaining to the information presented during tonight's public hearing and would like to address the commission, please do so by using the chat feature in the Zoom. The chat button is located at the bottom of your screen with the other meeting control. Questions and statements submitted via chat will be directed to the commission. So, Commissioner, you have no further questions? All right, I'll open it up for anyone who would like to speak for or against the granting of this petition. Please use your chat button if you choose. And if you're online, I'll give you the opportunity to speak briefly. Wow, silence.
I'm in favor.
Mayor, no one has submitted a chat comment.
Okay. Commissioner, it seems like there is no one presenting anything, so therefore I entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning petition number 20-02 for several of the properties on Amherst and G Street and MLK as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motion and second for the approval of the petition number 20-20. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please. Commissioner Williams, you trying to speak?
No, sir. I was just waiting for the vote.
Okay, all right.
Commissioner Casey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Harvey, how do you vote?
Abstain. Did you
Okay.
get Commissioner Harris?
Commissioner Harris had to leave.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like that motion carries 4-0. Thank you, everybody, for that. Thank you, Mr. Bartoff. Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Thank you.
It's actually 3-0 because Ms. Harris.
I'm sorry, because I didn't vote. I'm sorry. My bad. Forgive me. Okay. Moving right along. Item to consider for approval. Item number 3, consider approval of June 15, 2020 work session minutes, June 17, 2020 regular scheduled meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular commission meeting minutes of June 17th, as well as the special called work session Monday, June 15th.
Second.
It's been probably motion second that we approve those 2 meetings. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 And motion carries now. Also, now we left out the June 24th special call meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, you didn't include that one. So I entertain a motion to include that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion, we include that special call meeting.
Second.
Motion second to approve the June 24th special call meeting minutes. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those have the same right. Commissioner Williams, I believe you was absent on that one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Motion carries 3-0. All right. We're moving down to city attorney item. No, excuse me. Item number 4. Consider approval of financial report as of May 31st, 2020. Ms. Kathy Mills is presenting. I'm sorry, Kathy. Let me overlook you.
Okay, I will be brief. These are the reports for May 31st. At that point, we were approximately 92% completed for the year. You'll look on the general fund. We have year-to-date revenues of 1.3 million over expenditures. The month we had 769,000, but this is a month of May is one in which we don't get much revenue coming in other than just the sales tax distribution. So that's to be expected. A little over $5 million between Georgia Fund 1 and Prime South. The loss distribution that we received in May, which was for April sale, was $156,000 less than it was the previous year at the same time. Percentage of drop of 26.9. However, year to date, we have an increase of 55,000. So we're still holding on to a 0.96% over for year to date over the prior year. Since we've already gotten the June numbers in, I'll just give you a brief update on that because they don't appear to be. We just received $7,365 for June for lost. Last year at the same time, last year we received this June $44,464 less than we did June a year ago. We did receive $112,000 more in June than we did in May. So that was not as bad as we might have feared that it could have been with COVID-19 and all the closures of businesses. The next page is SPLOS 6, amounts of a little over $7 million. The expenditures during the month of May totaled, $64,000 on sidewalks, $83,000 on the fire building improvements, and $72,000 on the equipment that was purchased for the E911 center. The next page, we still have a cash balance of almost $1.4 million in SPLOS 5. Norwood Street Commons, no activity other than some interest earned. We have a total cash balance there of $300,000. The Roosevelt Harris multipurpose, we have had inflows of $286,000. 74,000 of that is from grant money, 90 general fund year to date, and $1,000 in program income. Sanitation fund on the next page, we've had total revenues 2.8 million, total expenditures 2.2 million. We have a cash balance of 632,000 on hand as of May 31st. Sanitation bills, once again, trash pickup, approximately 121,000 for a year-to-date total of 1,337,000. Then we have illegal refuse pickup for year-to-date 63,000. Street sweeping year-to-date 54,000. Stormwater utility fund has a net inflows over expenditures of 323,000. Balance is 322,000 as of May 31st. There were no additional expenses during the month of May for animal control, traffic control, or for the recreation facilities that are managed by the county. The last page there is the Roosevelt Lawrence Center, and you'll see for the month of May, expenditures of $4,000 $1,739. We did see some decreasing in the electric bill. And mostly the only expenditure, the majority of the expenditures there are for the salary and benefits for the employees there at the Roosevelt Lawrence Center, since it's still currently not open. So that's just a brief synopsis. Questions, want me to be specific? Had to answer those.
Okay, any comment, Ms. City Manager? You got any comment on the budget?
No, at this point, I'm just looking to ensure that we end the fiscal year positively and basically keep our cash flows up for the first quarter of the next year. And it looks like we're on track to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the Roosevelt Harris Senior Center is still providing lunchtime meals every day. Is that correct?
Yes, they're not open for the public they're not open for the daycare part or for them to come and stay, but I think they are to get by providing.
They're still providing meals, is that
yes,
not?
I think so, Commissioner Martin, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Stiegel gave that information out last time, and also Ms. Dominique Mike Collins told us the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Any questions on our budget? Has been presented by our Finance Director, Ms. Mills.
We're able to pay all of our bills in a net 30-day time frame. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes, sir. If there's anything that's not paid within 30 days, it's because the bill didn't make it to the finance. Because sometimes, they go out to some of the different departments and sometimes things get misplaced, but that's not occurrence. But no, we're not holding any bills because we don't have funds to pay them.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the finance report as presented.
Second.
Okay, been probably moved to second to approve of the finance report as presented. Are there any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, aye. Also opposed, have the same right. It appears that the ayes have it. That motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Mills. Appreciate it very much. All right, we're down to our city attorney items. Item number 6, consider approval of the amended mutual aid agreement between the city of Brunswick and Glenn County. Mr. City Attorney?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I could, I know this has been deferred once before. I would ask that we defer it again. I've reached out on multiple occasions to the county to try to determine whether this is going to be something that will go forward on their end, and I'm still waiting back an answer on that. So I'd ask that it be deferred to the next meeting in July.
I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Motion second to defer this item to our next meeting. Any further discussion? I'd like to say thank you for City Attorney for getting this moving, at least getting it moving. We've been trying to get this done for about a month now. And I know Commissioner Casey has been championing this as well. So
yes, we continue to reach out to across the aisle to the county, and I think we'll get it done in the end.
Okay.
I'll try and reach out to the county manager on it and see, because he was actually in favor of trying to get it in place. So I'll make sure I talk to him.
Thank you. And I think we all need to know what the holdup is too.
I understand.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kaysen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Harvey, how do you vote?
Yes. That motion carries unanimously 4-0. So that item 6 will be deferred until our next meeting on the 15th of July. Okay. All right. Item
Thank
number
you very
7.
much.
Item number 7, consider discussion an amendment to the City of Brunswick Code of Ordinance to provide for a tree ordinance. You again, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. The amendment you have before you is the first to come out of the tree board. As you know, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, we established a tree board in the City of Brunswick. They have been working diligently to put together, this is the first phase of what I would expect to be 2 separate ordinances. This first phase of the ordinance would be protecting public trees. So trees located on City of Brunswick property or other public property. I believe, and I don't want to speak in place of some of the tree board members, but the intent here was to codify this tree ordinance, and then they would begin the process of going after putting together some sort of review process for trees on private property. In my opinion, looking at kind of some of the pitfalls that the county went through with getting their second tree ordinance in place, I thought this was a good idea by the tree board. We can go ahead and put regulations in place that would protect our own trees. This is similar in a way to the stormwater management, where the city is subject to its own ordinance here. So if there is a tree on public property that we need to take and look at and maybe take some action, we would be submitting to the tree board for review and consideration, and looking at the best way to either save the tree, protect the tree, or maybe put together some sort of replacement plan. In that same sense, if there's public property within the city owned by the county, they would also need to submit to the tree board, so that any action item against trees on public property would come through the tree board. And for the most part, I think this would really benefit in helping kind of protect those, or at least, if not just to protect, have a good knowledge of what is going on with the trees in the city on a real-time basis. So that's the intent of this policy. It's addressing public property, again, public trees. It sets forth a procedure by which you would submit an application to the tree board for review. Sets forth a procedure for which you could appeal a decision by the tree board to the City of Brunswick Board of Commissioners. That's going to be the only way that I think you could appeal. And it sets forth definitions of protected trees, exempted trees. It sets forth definitions of proper pruning, proper trimming, prohibition on how you could damage a tree, whether it's, there's multiple ways that it could obviously happen, not just pruning, but doing other activities that might be detrimental. So if new construction is taking place in close proximity to public trees, that new construction would need to come to the tree board, or the person, implementing those actions would need to come to the tree board for review, to make sure that, they're taking into consideration those public trees. Again, I think it sets forth penalties if you are found to be in violation. It sets forth potential replacement trees. It does quite a bit, but it's only applying to public trees at the moment. And this would be a first reading. And I would ask that if it's the will of the commission, that it be put out for advertisement, subject to public review, and that we could kind of move forward. This would be the first kind of big task checked off by our tree board.
Well, I would be very much in favor of that. I mean, I've in the past sat in on many of the tree board meetings, and it is a far more complicated issue than people have any idea of. Just as Mr. Corey says, when you take all of the different aspects under consideration, it is arduous. It is not a real cut and dry kind of a thing. So, but however, I think that we have some magnificent trees in our community that need to be preserved. And just because you cut one down and you say you're going to replace it is not the same thing. So I think that we certainly would be in favor, or I would, of taking a look at what that would look like in a codified fashion and move forward with it.
Good with me.
I like to say, yeah, I think it'd be something that we need to discuss. I think our tree board should have a lot to say about it as well. We get into discussion, look at as how we do things with our tree ordinance. And I think what's been presented is a good draft as to for discussion as first reading, so to speak, as you say. And I agree with it too as well.
I know I don't think she's on right now, but I would say Miss Bonetta Kitts and all of the other members of the tree board have put in a tremendous amount of work. And this ordinance they put together the first draft, got it to me in a very, I would say, almost complete manner. And then we had several meetings where we went in, went through revisions, and they've just done a tremendous amount of work.
All right. No problem. Well, I guess you can advertise. I think Naomi is the next step is to advertise it.
That is correct.
Okay. Then I say go forth and advertise it.
Yep.
I don't think we need to vote on that at all. I don't think so.
No, that would just be the consensus to go forward and advertise.
Sure. Go ahead. Okay. All right. Item number 8, consider for approval of resolution number 2020-13, establishment of an advisory committee for statues and monuments located on public property within the city limits of the city of Brunswick. As you know, we have been getting a lot of email traffic, a lot of calls as well concerning the statue that we have in Hanover Square. But this resolution will deal with any other statues that we have within our parks as well. Last meeting, I asked for establishment of an advisory committee, and that was met with we still, I think now this resolution kind of established some kind of criteria for that, for the setting up of this advisory committee. I was trying to look at as to how who selects these members of this advisory committee, and I didn't see that per se.
Well, the resolution as set forth, it was somewhat, I looked to, the city of Atlanta had done one recently, I think it was in 2018, 2017, at the direction of their mayor. When I did the resolution, if you look at section 2, members and composition, it states that the 9 members shall consist of citizens of Glenn County and shall be appointed by the City of Brunswick Board of Commissioners. Section 3 sets out some qualifications.
Right.
It's a 9. I know that when we discussed this originally, discussed 9 members. So obviously the composition of the board would be 9 members. There, in a unique way, I tried to make this somewhat flexible because I don't know when. We obviously know we have a pressing matter currently that we're being faced with that needs to find some resolution. So the way I established the committee is that they could be convened by the City of Brunswick Board of Commissioners when an issue arose regarding a statue or monument. They would continue to meet regularly during that term to try to find a resolution for whatever issue has come to be. And then they would sunset out once a resolution is met on that particular issue. Okay. But it also leaves some flexibility in there that if another issue was brought forth, you could reconvene the committee and go through the same process. And it essentially, if you look on page, dreaded no page numbers, but it's page 2. There is a section 9 that sets forth the duties and the powers. That really holds the crux of what this committee would be doing. Some of those powers I looked to, again, so other areas that have done these types of committees and sort of molded them there. So I'll let everybody sort of digest, and then if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay,
or suggested revisions, of course.
Yeah, I noticed that we have a sheet with a number of 16 individuals who have volunteered their services to be appointed to the committee. I don't know any fair way to do that other than allow each commissioner to maybe appoint 2 people, if you will, and I get 1. Commissioner Williams is the chairman, so I think he can point if you like, but he is a I want to say a non-voting member, but we haven't established that yet. So
I think that if I could, Mayor, I'm sorry. I think that if the resolution were to be passed tonight, I think the best thing to do would be to vote and then take into consideration all those that have volunteered and appoint after there's, a suggestion, maybe appoint at the next city commission meeting. I forgot that, in taking into consideration that Commissioner Williams would be the chairman, I think he should probably be, I don't know, I guess I'll leave it up to the commission of whether or not he's a voting member, but if he were a chairman or a voting chairman, you could make him the chairman, and then the remaining 8 could each be, there could be 2 appointments from the remaining 4 city commissioners, if that makes any sense.
yes, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it would be good perhaps for Commissioner Williams to be the chair, but a non-voting member, because he's going to ultimately have a vote on the commission anyways when the board comes to the commission for a vote. And I think, I don't know if we need a cutoff time upon which people who want to be considered to be appointed need to make that desire known, and then perhaps in the next commission meeting, maybe we each submit our top, I don't know, 4 or 5 people, and then from there we sort of look at how it all falls out.
Let me suggest this, if we can, and I guess it would be, the luck of the draw. I would not want to be a voting member of the committee, because I will come back. My job will be to come back to the commission, to the full commission, and bring the recommendation of the board of the committee. If we just put the other 15 names that we have in a hat or or something, and just draw out randomly, and whatever 9 people there are, we just use those 9 people.
Well, we've set some criteria though, so I think.
Well, all of these people are residents of Glenn County, correct?
Right, but we've got section 3 that defines what the qualifications are.
Yeah, I did include some qualifications that they'd be ideally, the qualifications I believe are at the bottom of page 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, okay? So how do we know that these individuals qualify?
Right, we won't. I think I feel that
How do I know if for instance, with Carol Eversley, how do I know if she knows any of the history of the city of Brunswick or the Civil Rights Act, or how do I know that?
I would think that, in the same way that they would submit for the development authority, you submit some credentials to show the qualifications. That's why I don't think it'd be wise to appoint tonight. I think it'd be good to get a pool of individuals once the resolution is passed.
We're going to ask these individuals to send resumes or send some type of qualifications to be appointed?
A letter they submit as to why they want to serve, and a resume. That's what we do for any board-appointed position.
I personally don't agree with that. I think each commissioner knows I guess some of the people on this list or know someone who they feel will render a good decision, discussion about this matter, and they should be afforded the opportunity to nominate that person. I feel also that if you want to, then maybe they'll be able to nominate at least one person of their choosing, because it's a real touchy subject, and you want somebody who actually has some knowledge of our community and also what's going on as far as how to deal with issues dealing with statues and monuments and so forth, and of the racial tension that we do have here and what it has caused and what it is causing by us not doing anything with this. That's my opinion.
Mayor, just a point of question. Brian, are they looking at the most recently edited resolution? I just wanted to make sure.
I did send it over, and I believe Naomi sent it out immediately after I sent it to her to make sure that they had put the most recent version in their binders.
Also, and I noted that on the questions for this meeting, there is someone inquiring about the list and how to get on the list. So that may be a consideration in terms of the discussion at this point.
Yes, they've been, this is Naomi. I've had people calling me. That's why I got their numbers and email address. And I've advised them that once the resolution was approved tonight, we'll forward them a copy of it so they'll be aware of the qualifications. Go from there. And we do have additional people that have called besides the list that I've given you tonight.
Okay, so there are more individuals. Now I know we stated I just picked a number, 9 members on the committee. Do anybody feel that maybe should be smaller or should be larger?
I think 9 is fine. I did go back and try to find the email that had the updated version, but there's been so many emails. I know I would greatly benefit if the revised resolution was sent back out.
I can send it right. Would it be beneficial to send it right now? I'd be happy to.
Yeah, you can. I may be the only one that wasn't able to review the revised. I mean, I tried.
What does it say differently from the other one? What's the new update to it?
The specific I think the specific revisions dealt mostly with allowing some flexibility in the qualifications. And there was also, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Regina.
Also under section 8, the meetings was
that's right,
not specifically put as bi-weekly.
That's right. And we thought to allow more flexibility there, the city manager suggested that they meet as much as necessary, but at least once a month, which was also incorporated into the most recent version.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that explanation is good enough for me if I'm the only one that was not able to review the updated version.
Well, I noticed we do have on this list of 16, there are some good people here who have some knowledge of some of the things that we're dealing with. And also, I just don't want just everybody have some knowledge. I want some people who are novice too, who have an opinion about how we go about doing some things, some regular citizens. But I imagine that will come out during our town hall meetings as well. As they meet, they will gather all the information that they can and be able to present it back to our commission. So that may nullify what I just said.
So we can go ahead and move forward on the resolution with the modifications that our legal has put forth, and then the rest will sort of fall into place as we move forward. Right?
Yes, again, but I've got some reservation on how we select. I guess that's not part of this resolution. Am I right, Brian?
I mean, it is. The resolution
Just say that we will, it don't tell how we will select, does it?
No, it just states that they'd be submitted, or excuse me, appointed by the
Okay, so we can decide
Board
on
of
appointment
Commissioners.
later. Yes?
I'm sorry?
So we can decide on the appointment later, are you saying?
Well,
Yes.
the resolution sets forth that they be appointed by the City of Brunswick Board of Commissioners.
Yes.
There's nothing in the resolution that would set forth the process on how to put together the list or how, where the pool of individuals would come from. If that needs to be added, I'd go back and need to add that to the resolution. In my mind, it was in the same sense that we do all other committees. They submit I think all committees submit a letter of interest and resume or personal information to Naomi with showing their desire to sit on the committee. Then those are, brought forth and just pull, the commission selects the candidates they feel best from that pool of individuals.
Has this been advertised in the paper?
No, I don't think so.
Why would we want to do it any differently than we do any other?
Because this was a committee that we, excuse me, an ad hoc committee that was forming out of the concern of the community. And with that, that's one of the reasons I recommended and we approved to have this committee. It wasn't something that we normally is a standing committee. It was basically just came up. So, and we need to deal with the situation.
Let's deal with it then. Let's deal with it.
I still feel that there are a certain number of organizations that needs to be on this as we deal with it, because I really would like for us to deal with this statute once and for all and not to push it down to another commission.
Well, then does it advertise in such a way that you're hitting various groups, whether it's on social media, in the newspaper? I mean, not everybody takes the paper, so you've got to hit different avenues. But is that what you're talking about, Mayor?
Similar,
Mr. Mayor.
This dealing with a number of dealing with racial issues here, and the people who have racial, the organizations that deal with racial aspect need to, I feel, have a place on this committee to deal with those situations. Because I believe all those feelings and all those comments gonna come out. We're gonna have to deal with them.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And I understand, I can appreciate all the input and everything that's going for, but my question is, and the more what I'm seeing is like, okay, we're putting off a little bit further because we gotta decide who's gonna be on the committee. We gotta decide how they're gonna qualify. We gotta decide, it's gonna be September, October before we even get a committee together at the rate we're going.
And what's the problem? I mean, I'd rather.
Well, here's my point. We're dealing with an issue that's being dealt with all over the country right now that we need to deal with. We don't need to keep putting it off, trying to formulate a committee and try to, we're going to make sure that, we got everybody on the committee that we think needs to be on the committee. Well, we got a pool of candidates that have submitted themselves or committed to be on this committee. Let's select these folks. Let's start meeting and move this forward, because all we're going to do is keep kicking the can down the road, and we're going to kick the can down the road, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to come out of this.
I tend to agree.
I understand, and I don't see that we're kicking the can down the road. don't want to get somewhere and then, we have a huge number of people that say, well, they didn't know how it was moving forward. They were never given an opportunity to submit their letter or their opportunity to serve. I really think that we need to look at this as a community on our own without, looking at what everybody else has done. They're on their own schedule and their own timing, and I think we should be.
Okay.
I agree that we should be on our own time, but I agree that time is of the essence. We can't, just keep kicking this can down the road and say, okay, well, we don't have enough people in the pool, or we're going to want some more names. We're going to go back and see how many more people will come. And I mean, this has been advertised I think it's been done, very successfully. Name another committee in the city of Brunswick that we got 16 names for, 15 names for.
I think we got more.
And we advertise in the paper every day.
I think we got more than 16. There's other folks who are.
Yeah, and maybe more than that now. So that's my point. Why are we going to keep kicking the can down the road and say, oh, well, we got to do this, we got to do this, then we got to go back and do this? We've got a pool of names.
I'm fine with that. I just think that there needs to be a cutoff, a date certain that people that want to serve. Commissioner Williams, you just said there's been many more people besides these 16 that have voiced a desire to serve. So I'm at a loss to know who those people are because we're each hearing individually from different people. So
that's my point, because the longer we wait, of course, the more people you're going to get. But you need to go ahead on and form the committee and start meeting so that something can, one way or another, I'm not saying what direction it should go or what direction it shouldn't go, but I'm saying that we need to go ahead, form this committee, and begin to meet so that we can move this issue forward and so it won't be an issue for us anymore.
That's fine. I think we need to approve the resolution, not necessarily the committee.
Okay, well, we can approve the resolution and move forward. I was concerned about the selection, how we select the individual. But I'll go with the majority of what the commission says. I personally would like to appoint some individuals based upon their organization and also their fervor for getting things done in our communities. However, with that being said, we do have a resolution in front of us to move forward instead of just kicking it down the road again. Let's just get this resolution done, and then we will start formulating for the selection of our committee and give that committee standing orders to start meeting and making things happen.
Do you
Mayor,
need
can I
bylaws for this committee? Brian, that would be for you.
I mean, it's always best that any committee have bylaws, but typically you would, approve the resolution tonight, establish a committee in the next meeting, and then the committee would put together their own, bylaws and procedural regulations at their first meeting.
I think we're getting a little farther out with all we wanted was an advisory committee to advise the commission as to what we need to do with this statute. And now it seems that we are establishing something that's so formal that we are basing we're doing something formally and forgetting what we're here to do. So as we try to work on this issue, we're making another issue working on this issue. And all we need basically is someone to advise us as to what we need to do, the legalities of it, okay, and what we can do, and also recommend something.
Mr. Mayor, that's my point exactly. I'm thinking that this committee will sunset once this issue is resolved. If there's another issue and this committee needs to come back together at that point in time, they'll do so. I'm just trying to understand the process, you know.
I don't want to think that we have to make this such a formal committee as in bylaws and all this other stuff. It's
I'm thinking that this is just an advisory group that's going to advise on this particular issue. Once that issue is resolved, it sunsets. If something else comes up and we need to bring that committee back together, you do that at that point in time.
Okay. Our city.
I mean, Mr. City Attorney, is that the way that is designed, or how, or is this a formal committee that's going to be in existence for whatever period of time?
No, the way that the resolution is written is that it would be convened by the city commission to act on an issue that is brought forth, and then sunset when the resolution is met for that issue. If there are ongoing issues, you can keep the committee in its term and they can continue to address those types of issues, but ultimately be sunsetted out when the resolution
so technically for the members of the board, there's really no term limits.
No.
Okay, so that's my point. We're making this more of a board than an advisory committee.
No, I would say it's a committee. I mean, that's how it's being, formulated and put together.
But when we start talking about bylaws and all this kind of stuff, you're talking about a board.
Well, it's not written in the resolution that way, though. So that's not in the resolution anywhere.
No.
Oh, everybody, I'm waiting to hear from our city manager. You can try to get in.
Well, I was just going to ask if I guess the meetings that will be conducted, will they be public meeting? I know we said that we would give the opportunity for the public to have town halls and that kind of thing, but will the advisory committee meetings, and maybe this is a question for Brian, would they be public? And if so, at that time, anyone from the public may be able to, voice opinions and that kind of thing.
These would be public meetings. As a committee, it would be subject to, open meeting, open records. So yes, it would be public meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's not get into so much formality about this advisory committee, because they make a recommendation to the city council, who has the authority to make the ultimate decision about what we're going to do anyhow. We're just looking for some advice, basically. We're not looking for someone to have a standing committee where they will always act on their own and so forth. No, they are here to give us advice as to what we need to do.
I have one question. I'm in agreement with all that. I certainly don't want to stand in the way of the committee. My only question is, Brian, Corey, will you be presiding at the meetings in order to offer state law and things that really need to come into play so that whatever decisions and deliberations come out of this committee are within the jurisdiction of the state law and the national law?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm sure there will be other attorneys maybe on that committee as well. So we'll have legal representation all around to give us the best advice, recommendation as to what we need to do. And we will act accordingly. We also know that our city attorney will be attending an attorney's forum conference that will deal with this exact question all around from the state of Georgia. So we will allow him to bring back some information based upon that conference. So, and that would be something that we can use as well to help bolster our decision making when we move forward with our decision. So I think we'll beat this one up enough.
Excuse me, may I ask a question for clarification, Mayor? This is Naomi. Do you want me to advertise one, and should I, when I send the resolutions to the candidates on the list, should I ask for a letter of interest and a resume?
Yes, yes. It gives us some insight into, you know, what their basis of information is. I mean, I think we should. If they don't have a resume, that's fine. But at least a letter. I think a letter letting us know.
Letter of intent probably better.
A letter of intent is sufficient. Okay. A resume, no, I don't think a resume really necessarily plays into it. But I would certainly like a letter.
I'm okay with a letter. Commissioner Cason?
Fine with me.
Commissioner Williams?
I'm fine. Let's move forward. That's all my concern is, because you know I don't want this to keep lingering and you know and it'll be December before we get a committee together.
Okay. Well, if you get the letters of please cut the cutoff period should be I know before our next meeting, because the decision is who's going to sit on that. I think our cutoff for our next meeting is the Tuesday. Is it a Tuesday?
It would be next week, Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday. You think that's enough time for everybody?
It should be. I'm going to send it, them out first thing in the morning.
We've got everybody's email address that has submitted their name, at least, it looks like.
Yes, we do. And phone number, and our phone number.
Yeah.
Okay, and during our next meeting, I will bring up again our selection, how we select individuals for this committee. I still feel strongly that we need to have certain organizations represented in that meeting and that on a committee. However, we have this resolution ahead of us, in front of us, and to move forward, I entertain a motion, please, to your will and pleasure, commissioners.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we approve the resolution for the advisory committee as presented.
Second.
Probably motion is second for approval of the advisory committee as presented. Then the further discussion. Madam Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Cason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Harvey?
Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody. That motion carries unanimously. So therefore, we will do that. Madam City Clerk, you have your orders to advertise it, the cutoff, and looking for a letter of intent. And then we can establish this committee and get this behind us. And so some recommendations will come before the City Commission, so we can make a good decision concerning our monuments, which are located in our city limits.
Oh,
so
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Clarification, you said advertise it? Did you say advertise or just request a letter of interest and intent?
Request a letter of intent.
Okay, thank you.
Are we good, commissioners? All right. Okay, as we move right along, we're at the last item, item number 9. Consider for approval a deed to convey certain properties from the city of Brunswick to the Brunswick Glen Joint Water and Sewer Commission. Mr. City Attorney, you are presenting again.
Yes. This is a deed of correction. Deed of conveyance. This was a deed that was brought before the commission, I think 1.5 years ago. It included 5 properties. One of the properties was a larger property that it appears could be subdivided. When the deed was originally brought before the city commission, you guys directed me to go back to Joint Water and Sewer and discuss with them that property because it appeared we could retain some of the property. It might be a usable or buildable lot. So in the meantime, we've been talking through getting that property potentially subdivided. Joint Water and Sewer came back and said, could we go ahead and submit the deed with the 4 parcels that did not raise any issues and get those approved and conveyed? I said, yes, I'd be happy to bring that back forward. So if you see, there's 4 plats attached to the end of the deed. The majority of them, well, actually I say that, but there's a storage tank in Old Town at the corner of Prince Street and I can't remember the crossroad there. A lift station on Glen Avenue. There's a second lift station on Glen Avenue at the intersection of Talmadge and Glen. And there is a lift station in Oak Park, all of which need to be conveyed. None of them sit on any substantial portion of property. They're all pretty narrowly described. The legal descriptions are narrow enough that it's only essentially the property that's necessary to convey over the water and sewer utilities.
And which property has the buildable land on it you're talking about?
It's not a part of this deed. We've removed it from the deed. It's over near Stonewall Street, and I've talked to John Hunter about it. I think we're going to try to put forth a subdivision and just carve out a piece of the property that has a lift station on it. But that is not before you tonight.
Okay, Commissioner, any further questions for our city attorney?
Yeah, how much more property, Brian, is left for us to do this with? Do you know?
I don't. It seems like every once in a while the attorney's office for the Joint Water and Sewer submits a deed finding more and more lift stations that were just not included in that original 2009 list.
I really think on behalf of the city and the city taxpayers that we should request the Joint Water Sewer to give us a timeline to get this done. This has been dragging on and dragging on and dragging on, and at least get us a list of what is left to be conveyed.
Okay. I can talk to Charlie about that. I can talk to their attorney about that.
And maybe we could have that on our next agenda.
Potentially, yeah. The list. You want the list on the next agenda?
That would be a start.
It's not something that I could complete, so I'd have to consult with them and find out if they can do that.
Yeah, Cor, I'm in agreement with Commissioner Cation because look like every 6 months to a year we get 2 or 3 of these somewhere in the city or somewhere that the city, you know, where the city water and sewer was ran even in the county. So, you know, I think they need to kind of get this together and we can move this forward and just convey all that we need to convey and be done with it.
Okay.
Talk about sunsetting.
I'll communicate with that when we get this deed signed and over to them. I'll say, you know, hey, we really would like to see a final resolution of this matter so that we don't have to keep piecemealing these things together.
Well, and the list. I think the list is also important to start with. Let's see what we got on the table.
Okay.
Any further questions? All right, the city attorney, you've been asked to get a new list, as well as I entertain a motion now for to approve of this deed to convey to certain property to the city, from the city to the Joint Water and Sewer. I entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion to convey said properties, let me get the list of them here, to the Joint Water and Sewer Commission. What are the names of these properties? Parcel 1, lift station, tract of land containing 2,627 square feet in the city of Brunswick. Also tract number 2, or parcel number 2, lift station containing 900 square feet. Parcel number 3, lift station containing 193 square feet. And elevated water storage tank, parcel number 4, containing 8,100 square feet.
Second.
It's been probably motion second to convey certain properties as listed on our packet and outlined by Williams. Are there any further questions?
Can I make a comment, Mayor?
Yes.
I have asked the Water and Sewer to give us some advertisement on their water towers. So in conjunction with us approving these deeds, I'm going to press upon them to, write our names on some of these towers. So I'll use this as a little leverage for that initiative that I'd like to push forward.
Of course, I like that.
Yeah.
Also, Brian, where is this land, parcel number 1? Where's that located at?
Parcel number 1. Just a moment.
We don't have a map of parcel number 1, do you?
It's the corner of, or it's not the corner. It's on Norman Street.
Okay.
That should be
This is
parcel
near
number.
Park subdivision.
It's there. It's been there a long time. I go by it every day that I leave this house.
Awesome. Okay, no problem. All righty, okay. Any further questions? Commissioner Williams, I think you made the motion. Are you okay? Are you okay with what our city manager proposed?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Total agreement.
So would you amend your motion to say with some advertising on the water towers as well?
I will amend my motion to say that I would ask that our city manager lobbies for our advertisement on the water towers.
Okay. I don't
I'll
remember.
re-second that.
All right. The second motion, second was with an amendment as well for the conveying of these properties to the city to Joint Water and Sewer. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you so very much, everybody. We come to the end of our regular printed agenda. Is there any need for an executive session?
I do not have any need.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motion second for adjournment. Before we adjourn, I would like to read again. We want to thank those workers in our community who are performing essential duties and are going the extra mile to keep our community and visitors safe. These include, but are not limited to, healthcare professionals and first responders working on the front line, retail, grocery, and food service workers providing sustenance and supplies for residents and visitors, custodians and maintenance staff who are working hard to keep the public and community areas safe and services operating, our manufacturers who are keeping our city and county moving forward by producing goods for our economic recovery. We know that work in the midst of global pandemic is difficult and at times upsetting, but we want to encourage you to remain diligent and focus on the safety and well-being of yourself, your family, your colleagues, and of the greater community. Together, by following the CDC's recommendations on hand washing, social distancing, and wearing safety equipment, including masks, we can overcome this. When you are traveling, working, or conducting out-of-home activities, please consider others' safety as you do yours. More than ever, we need to consider and follow safety recommendations to fight the spread of this COVID-19. Once again, thank you to everyone who is helping our community during this trying time. Please remain diligent, and by all means, please remain safe.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Mayor.
you know, that's fine. So, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Aye. Like the ayes have it. Please enjoy
Have a
your
good
holiday
evening.
weekend.
Thank you.
Safe, everybody.
You all have a good night.
Happy 4th of July.
Be safe, everybody.
Thank
Please
you.
be safe.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.